everyone, this is Anthony John Agnello, Senior Social Editor at Games Radar Plus. Video game mini-bosses are in an awkward position. They're not ordinary mooks. They deserve more fear and kudos than the average grunt. At the same time, by the time the real big bad rolls around, the chances are that the mini-boss is going to be a distant memory. A special few mini-bosses, however, rise above. They're not only more memorable than their level bosses, they're actually cooler than the final boss of the whole game. Well done to them. They deserve celebration, so celebrate them we shall. These are their names, and these are their stories.
Can't let you do that.
Starwolf. Facing off against the Starwolf team over Planet Venom in an all-range mode dogfight is one of Star Fox 64's baddest-ass moments. With upgraded, more dangerous ships that make lock-on shots and bomb launches useless, Starwolf's crew demands nerves of steel to defeat them. It's pure dogfighting. So pure, in fact, that the ultimate showdown with Monkey Tyrant Andross feels weak by comparison. You're basically just shooting a giant floating head in front of a wibbly abstract backdrop. Yeah, you get to chase a couple of eyeballs around before doing a lot of flips around Andross's brain and shooting the crap out of it, but it's just not as tense. The Berserker. After brazenly sawing Locust in half for hours and hours in Gears of War, the Berserker fight forces you to reconsider your bravado. The whole thing involves playing cat and mouse with a lumbering super Locust that can both charge and hit like a freight train. Normal weapons won't even touch it, so instead you'll have to lure him outside in order to use the Hammer of Dawn. Problem though, there is no way outside. To remedy that, you need to sneak around evading the blind Berserker before using sound to lure it towards breakable doorways, and you get him ever closer to those sweet orbiting satellite lasers. The final train-based battle against General Ram, meanwhile, is annoying and dull, an exercise in attritional frustration rather than a genuinely interesting tactical battle. KINTARO. Sure, you fought a four-armed giant in Mortal Kombat 1, but in Mortal Kombat 2, you fight a four-armed giant Catman in a luchador mask, rendered in lovely Harryhausen-style stop-frame animation. He can jump a mile high to crush you underfoot, spit fireballs, perform a four-armed body slam, and roar like a hungry, rabid walrus. That's amazing. Final boss Shao Kahn is a total anticlimax after KINTARO. He's just a dude in a campy body armor and loincloth combo, like a cross between a Hangman figure and a rejected Gwar guitarist. He's certainly not a bellowing cat luchador. No, sir. Dr. Salvador. Somehow a fight against a shrieking freak wearing a potato sack on his face and swinging a chainsaw like an ancient Grecian shot putter seems like it was an inevitability in Resident Evil. The fights against Dr. Salvador come early in Resident Evil 4, and they're all unforgettable. He can suffer a ton of punishment, and he always shows up right when you're pinned down by a horde of villagers. This forces razor-sharp use of space and flawless crowd control if you're going to make it through. The faint chugging sound of a distant chainsaw ticking over rapidly becomes the most terrifying sound in the game. The final fight against Sadler, the giant cult leader, and Spider is also good, but it doesn't have half of the intimidation factor of the Salvador encounters. You're chasing a giant, easy-to-spot, slow creature around a large open area, smashing his weak spot from afar. He never inspires white-knuckled dread. The DARKNUT. The faceless DARKNUT Knights have hassled Link for years, but it's the fight against a lone evil suit of demonic armor in Twilight Princess that takes the cake. It's a lengthy one-on-one sword fight with a hulking armored badass whose size belies a great dexterity, speed, and skill. The duel demands use of all Link's offensive, defensive, and evasive capabilities. When you destroy all of the Darknut's armor, revealing an agile, even quicker enemy, the fight takes on a whole new dynamic. It's one of the purest skill-driven fights in all of Zelda, and it completely overshadows the final battle with Ganondorf, which feels like a series of rote patience challenges. As grand and dramatic as the Ganon fight can be, it fails to live up to the one-on-one Darknut fight. The Big Daddy remains the unforgettable face of the BIOSHOCK series. Although fighting them is entirely optional, Big Daddy fights are the most intimidating and creatively rewarding parts of the whole original game. Going up against weird variants of a giant walking tank and a diving suit requires dynamic use of every weapon, plasmid, and environmental advantage at your disposal. Some battles will be tense sneak and strike affairs. Others will be about bringing Big Daddy on side with hypnotism before letting the splicers soften him up. All wins are well earned, and every single one will make you feel like a bit of a monster afterwards. While BIOSHOCK shouldn't even have a final boss fight, you do still have to fight a big blue dummy who looks like a bootleg Watchmen action figure at the end. It's a bog-standard 3-part boss fight against a giant Superman, the antithesis of the creative Big Daddy brawls. BIRDO. BIRDO. The only mini-boss in history where you face a dinosaur in a bow that projectile vomits eggs that can kill you. Every BIRDO fight is a delight where you have to jump on top of the eggs spat out by that large pink lizard thing, grab said eggs in midair, then throw them back at the freak in between a barrage of even more eggs. It is everything brilliant and odd about classic Super Mario Bros. Wrapped in a single conflict. The last boss fight against Wart is a variation on the same theme that somehow manages to be both mightily irritating and incredibly dull. Vegetables are pumped out of a machine in the middle of the room, you catch them and throw them at Wart. He spits a barrage of bubbles that hurt you and destroys the vegetables. The difference here is that BIRDO is much more about real player skill, whereas the fight against Wart is a painful waiting game. Give us that BIRDO fight any day of the week. If you dig this and want more videos just like it, follow Games Radar at youtube.com/gamesradar.